If you think it's impossible to grow your biceps without weights, this is how I grow mine. I hear all the time that calisthenics doesn't build size, you can't grow muscle with calisthenics, but I've trained calisthenics for over 3 years now and my arms continue to develop and grow. And that's because I don't train randomly, I train intentionally. So in this video, I'm going to give you the complete blueprint to growing your biceps with calisthenics as a complete beginner. I'm going to speak about 3 key things, and one of them will literally make or break your success. And I'm also going to give you a complete workout. One thing that you need to understand is that whether it's calisthenics or it's weights, your muscles don't know the difference, right? The fact is that if you're going to grow your muscles, all it's going to take is for you to tear the muscles and for them to repair and come back stronger and with more muscle fibers. So now that I've got that out of the way, I want to speak about the first key point, which is understanding hypertrophy. Now, I'm not saying hypertrophy doesn't occur if you're doing 6 reps or 8 reps, or if you're doing 20 reps or even 30 reps. As long as you're bringing yourself close to failure with your exercise, you are experiencing hypertrophy, but it's more ideal within that 10 to 12 rep range. So just keep that in mind moving forward. And for me, I think 3 sets of each exercise is a good amount to stick with when you're going for muscle growth. Now, the second key point is to do with proper technique. Now, hold on a second, because you may not have actually heard what I'm about to tell you. Now, the first thing, which everyone has heard of before, is obviously when you're doing exercise, you want to use the perfect form, because if you don't, you're honestly wasting your time. But this is something you may not have heard before. My personal opinion from my personal experience is that you should really and truly be struggling on the last 1 to 2 reps. I personally believe that you should always be pushing for growth when you go in the gym. So whatever I do today, I want to do a little bit more or make it a little bit harder tomorrow. And that will eventually result in my form starting to drop. Say I'm doing 12 reps, for example. The first 10 reps are absolutely pristine. The last 2 reps, I start to really struggle, and the quality of the reps start to drop a bit. To me, that's perfectly okay, and that's a sign that I'm putting my muscles under immense stress, which means that they're tearing, which means that I'm going to experience muscle growth. Now, before we get into the last and most important thing that will make or break your whole muscle growth journey, let's talk about the workout. The first exercise we're going to do is called clasp grip pull-ups. I don't actually know the technical term of this, but that's just what I call it. And the sole aim of training this is going to be hypertrophy. We're going to do 12 reps of 3 sets. Make sure when you do this, you're engaging your core, and if it's too difficult, you can regress to simple chin-ups or Australian chin-ups, which we'll get to shortly. The second exercise is chin-up negatives. So you're going to pull yourself up quickly and go down slowly across 5 seconds. This is not the same thing as pull-ups. This is an inside grip chin-up. Pull-ups are outside grip. But if you do want more help with actually improving your pull-ups, then I've got a couple of resources linked in the description below. Now, we're going to be training this for hypertrophy, yes, but more so strength. We're going to do 6 reps of 3 sets. Now, as I said before, whenever you're training, as long as you're bringing your muscles close to failure, you are experiencing hypertrophy. Now, with this exercise, we're doing less reps, building more strength, which is going to benefit when we're training purely for hypertrophy anyways. So if this is too difficult, you can regress to assisted chin-up negatives. Basically, stand on a box, hold onto the bar, and jump to get yourself right to the top, and then you can take the negative across 5 seconds. The next exercise, that's one of my go-tos, is what I call the TRX bicep curls. We're going to be training this for hypertrophy, but I do love training this for endurance as well. So I recommend for you to do 12 reps of this for 3 sets, but if you increase that to 15 reps or 20 reps, that's also amazing. Training the endurance is going to translate over to the exercises where it's predominantly hypertrophy that we're training, and we're going to be able to do more and just go even harder for longer. So key point with this is make sure your elbows are tucked in and not flared out, and you're doing a full bicep curl. Now, if you walk your feet forward, then the exercise is going to get easier. If you walk yourself backwards to bring your upper body lower to the ground, then that's going to make the exercise more difficult, just so you know. If this is too difficult, you can regress by doing bicep machine curls. And I know it's not calisthenics, but I do think it is great to build some strength. And I don't want to just say do Australian chin-ups again, because I've already said that. And the final exercise that I'm going to give you is Australian chin-ups. That's why I didn't want to say it again. So we are training this one primarily for endurance. So we're doing 20 reps of 3 sets. Make sure when you're doing this, you're engaging your core. And if you want to make it more difficult, you can lower the barbell. And that's it. It doesn't have to get any more complicated than that. Those are my go-to exercises for when I'm working biceps. Now on to the third and final key point. This is the one that will make or break your training. If you don't do this, I can guarantee that you're not going to see the growth that you want. That is progressive overload. Now, my golden rule is that whenever I'm going to the gym, I hinted at it earlier on, I want to do one little bit better, 1%, 1 inch. I want to move forward by 1 step than I did last time. So this means, for example, if I do 10 reps today, I'm gonna do 11 reps tomorrow. If I do 20 kg pull-ups today, I'm gonna do 20, even 21.25 kg pull-ups tomorrow. Even that slight inch forward is still moving forward, and over time you're gonna see growth from that. That's just my philosophy for improving as a whole. But the reason this is particularly important when it comes on to stimulating muscle growth is that our muscles get used to a certain level of stimulant. It's going to require even more load, even more intensity, even more work to tear those muscles again. So when it comes onto the clasp grip pull-ups, increase the intensity by increasing the load. This means get a belt, put on the smallest weight you can find, 1.25 kilograms, and continue to do those same 12 reps. When it comes onto the negative chin-ups, you can increase the reps until you get to about 10 reps, 12 reps, and then you can increase the load, which means putting on a weighted belt, or you can also increase the time on the negative. So instead of it taking 5 seconds to come down, it takes 6 seconds. With the TRX bicep curl, you can increase reps till 20 and then walk your feet backwards to make it more intense. And with the Australian pull-ups, you can simply lower the bar to make it harder. So if this video helped you in any way with growing your biceps, then hit subscribe, because I've got plenty more advice to come your way. Let's go and become that 1% better today, and take care.